Welcome to the Business Buyer Diaries. My name is Nathan Platter. I'm a full-time employee, and I bought a business. I did everything right, from finding the deal, handling all the due diligence on 63 opportunities, and ultimately bought a profitable gym. And boy, was I in for a big surprise as a new owner. I chronicled everything in real time, including the biggest wins to the stressful nights at 2 a.m. I'm sharing my journey without sugarcoating anything, so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Here's today's episode.
Oh, the infamous FDD, the franchise disclosure document. So when I worked at a franchisor, so at one point in my career, I was an employee at the franchisor corporate. And so the head office, it was great. I enjoyed it. Pretty short-lived, but all in all, a good experience. When I talked to the legal team and asked about, someday I want to own a franchise, either of this brand or a different brand, what should I read about the FDD? And the head of legal said, the FDD, franchise, let's read the whole thing, front to back. We want you to read the whole thing. I said, do you want me to? Or it's good if I do? She said, we want you to read the whole thing. And so she looked dead in the eye, and she was very serious, and I could tell she wasn't bluffing. So all right, I will have to do that. And for those that don't, so just a quick 101, the franchise disclosure document is the large form. It's the legal outlining of what you are buying. So it says what rights you're giving away. You can't do your own branding. You can't do anything without the franchise head company approving what you're for the operations. Here are the requirements of you as the franchisee. Here's kind of training, costs, brand obligations, territories, any that you get, and it just outlines the entire agreement. And they're long. I've never seen one less than 150 pages. They're usually about 200, maybe 250 pages, depending on the franchise. But the one I'm reading through for the two gym packs that I'm looking at, it's 190 pages, and it's a lot of information. Now, some of those are going to have pictures and explicit patents and trademarks they have. So a couple pages you can skim through because it doesn't matter for what you're into. But for some of the stuff, it's really lengthy, really in depth. Kind of boring, but also very pertinent. So the marketing section is important. The section I read the most common one that everybody reads is item 19 or section 19, item 19. And that talks about what other franchisees are making. So it shows what the top clubs are making, the bottom handful of clubs, how they're doing it in gross sales, so you don't know the profit. But it also outlines what kind of results the current owners are seeing. And it's no promise of what you will make. There's no indication of how you'll perform because they can't make that kind of guarantee. But something that I noted that I think is great for other franchisees. Now, I can't remember the exact section. It was between 15 and 19. But it outlines what kind of obligations and training the franchisee has to go through. And so I was just reading through, nothing crazy. And it talked about how the franchisee, the owner, has to go through the general manager training, the business training, which just makes sense. That's not crazy. It's 5 days on site at the corporate headquarters. And I could also designate a club manager, a studio manager, to also attend and take the same training as well. Cool. So that's fine. So me and one other person or two other people have the same training. But in those sections, what really caught my attention was that at the club, there has to be someone on site during all business hours that has successfully passed that training. So what that means for me is if I'm on vacation and my club manager quits and I'm the only other person that has training, I can't have the club open unless I am on site. So I can't just be a pure absentee owner. I have to be actively engaged. And I reread the sections just to make sure I was following because this is important for my time. It says basically, I am obligated to run day-to-day operations for the club that I own, the single club. However, in lieu of that, I can have a studio manager, a general manager be there instead of me, as long as they've passed the same business training. So that's very important. In this 2 gym pack that I'm doing, my business plan is acquire the first one, finish up my day job because that's something that I'm still doing. That's the first gym. If there's not enough managers currently on staff, then I don't know how I'm going to work my day job. and also work the day management role of this club. And so it's not a red flag, but it's something that I just want to iron out with the seller, the current employment situation for the staff. I'm sure there's going to be a transition period. They outlined 4 weeks of transition afterward, but I want to make sure I understand what that looks like. Because last thing you want to do is you buy a gym and you have a side commitment, and now this commitment, and then you lose your staff because they like the previous owner and they don't like you. Now you're short-handed and you have 2 jobs all at once, and that's not tenable in the long run. So for all of that, read the franchise disclosure documents, especially when it comes to the day-to-day management and operations, what you're required of as an owner. I know Chick-fil-A requires their actual franchisees to be on site, and they don't do a whole lot of flexibility with that. And some places allow tons of absentee owners, like the 24-hour snap anytime type fitness places. I never see the owner on site. So you get the specifics for the franchise that you're looking at. Make sure you know what you're signing up for. Always good to have your own legal counsel to read it over, but it's also good for you to read it over because things that are important to you may not be flagged by an attorney that's helping you in an acquisition.
This has been another episode of the Business Buyer Diaries. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. I hope you're realizing that business ownership is no cakewalk. Check the podcast notes for a link to the DIY due diligence program, the complete list of show sponsors, and for media inquiries. Music written and composed by Wes Schrock. I'm your host, Nathan Platter. Join me again on the next one.